Wow, Sylvester Stallone acting in a slasher, horror, crime thriller movie. Now that's something you don't see every day. So anyway, I don't think that this movie is one of his worst films, especially when you consider the fact that other films like the god-awful Expendables 4 exist and all that stuff. Yeah, screw that film all the way to Neptune. It was pretty nice to see him acting in this crime horror thriller film known as D-Tox that borrows elements from Seven, John Carpenter's The Thing, and whatnot. That was directed by Jim Gillespie, the guy behind I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was ultimately screwed over by the studio, got shelved, given a limited cinema release, and dumped straight to video. But I do not think that it's as bad as many people say it is, and is most definitely one of Sly's more underrated films. So what's the plot about? The plot centers around an FBI agent who is devastated by the loss of his girlfriend at the hands of a deranged serial killer. As he is sent to a rehabilitation center in order to treat his PTSD, a murderer breaks into the facility and starts killing the patients one by one. But who is the killer and what is his motivation? I did love the isolated location of the rehabilitation center in that snowy locale, which kind of reminds me of John Carpenter's The Thing and whatnot. I really loved how the setting has this grey and depressing place and all that stuff, which makes me wonder, for treating police officers with issues, don't you think you should have colors like maybe pinks and blues and all that stuff? But that's just my guess. And I also enjoyed the who killed who mystery angle of it. John Powell's score gives a nice feeling of suspense and tension throughout the course of the movie. Stallone gives a great performance as Jake Malloy, who is a likable protagonist who's saddened by the death of his girlfriend and you feel sorry for him and whatnot. Charles Stallone also gives a good performance as Hendrix, who's Malloy's supportive best friend, who's always by his side and is always there to help him and whatnot. The rest of the other supporting players like the late Chris Christopherson, Stephen Lang, Tom Berenger, Christopher Fullord, Robert Patrick, and Dina Meyer all give good performances in their respective roles. I also thought that the villain, Frank Slater, was pretty ruthless and menacing, who wants to cause severe damage to the law enforcement system by murdering the police as revenge for them providing for a false sense of security and whatnot. In fact, I really do love the build-up and whatnot. You don't know who this guy is and what he looks like and all that stuff. At first I thought Robert Patrick was pretty much the villain and whatnot, considering the way he was acting and all that stuff. But in a shocking plot reveal, it was actually Christopher Fullord who was playing the villain this whole time, which actually surprised me and everything, because I thought that Robert Patrick was gonna be the villain and all that stuff. And also, I did love the final confrontation between Malloy and Slater in, should I say, the storage house and whatnot, and where he starts finally overcoming his fears and whatnot, and finally gives Frank a satisfying defeat and all that stuff, in where he says, "I see you, but do you see this?" Freaking awesome. But unfortunately, the movie does have plenty of downsides, like the questionable editing in many places and the violence being a little tame in this movie. I don't know why the director was afraid of blood and gore in this movie and whatnot. He simply repeated that mistake from I Know What You Did Last Summer of not really showing much blood and gore and everything. It would have benefited from the movie and whatnot. Plus, I wish that somebody like maybe Rennie Harlin or Peter Hyams directed it instead of Jim Gillespie and all that stuff. So in conclusion, D-Tox is a pretty good crime horror thriller movie that doesn't deserve all the hate it gets, and is worth checking out if you're a fan of Sylvester Stallone. The movie itself does feel like, what happens when you get the last portion of Seven and John Carpenter's The Thing, as I described it from earlier, and you get this underrated gem of a crime horror thriller movie and whatnot. So if you're wondering how I'm going to rate this movie, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. So what do you guys think of D-Tox? Do you think it's an underrated gem that deserves more recognition? Let me know down in the comment section below, and thanks for watching as always. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content. Shadow Leon 659 signing out. Goodbye and good night.